know.
MagMongoSlade. MagMongoSlade. MagMongoSlade.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today we're talking about AEW Dynamite from September the 13th, 2023. AEW fans, look. AEW fans, listen to me. I got some good news, and I got some bad news. As a matter of fact, I can't even say it's good news. It's bad news and worse news. Which one do you want first? Do you want the bad news first? Or do you want the worst news first? All right, let's do bad news first. Bad news. It was all a dream. There was not 81,000 whatever in Wembley. We all knew this already, by the way. So it's not like I'm taking a victory lap. We already knew this. Anybody with a functioning brain cell knew there was not 82,000 whatever paid in that building. You could just look at the empty seats and you can tell. But there was people who was clinging on to that hope. There's people who, Will Ospreay got it tattooed on his arm or something like this. Chris Jericho went on television and told me it was a shoot. And it was not a shoot. It was a work the whole time. It was a work. I feel so lied to. Anyway, how do we know this? There's a site called whatdotheyknow.com. Sounds pretty innocuous, but it's apparently the site for the Brent Borough Council, which is the sort of governing body for London, England. And a fellow by the name of Ian M. Banders filed a Freedom of Information request with the Brent Borough Council. His question, which was filed August 31st, 2023. Dear Brent Borough Council, please could you provide me with the official and accurate attendance as per your records for the wrestling event AEW All In, which took place at Wembley Stadium on Sunday, 27th of August, 2023. Yours faithfully, Ian Banders. The council got back to him on September the 4th, saying that they're going to assign his case to an officer, and that officer will get back to him shortly. On the 13th, he got his response. It says, the actual numbers registered entering the stadium through the turnstiles was 72,265. This is reflective of what attended on the night and not the total number of tickets sold or the no-shows, etc. And it says, if you are dissatisfied with the way in which your request has handled or the outcome, you may request an internal review within 2 calendar months of this date of this response by writing the following address, and it gives them an email address. So we get the name of the person who responded was Shamsul Islam, the Senior Regulatory Service Manager, Food Safety, Health, and Safety. So I looked this guy up, and he's a real person, this Shamsul Islam. He's a real person. I looked up Brent Borough Council. It is a real place, because I'm not for sure what the website is. And I'll be damned if I'm going to look stupid by being punked or something like that. But Brent Borough Council is a real thing. This Shamsul Islam is a real person. So there's no reason to deny that this is real information that was just posted on Al Gore's internet. 72,000, not quite 82,000, not quite the record of paid attendance that they claim that they broke. Here's why this is bad news. It's bad news because now AEW fans who have been gloating for almost a month, well, they've been gloating for 2 weeks, I guess you could say, about breaking this attendance record. It's no longer true. Again, Will Ospreay got it tattooed on his arm. People have gone on television. They have sold t-shirts with that number on it, claiming that they broke WrestleMania 32's paid record, etc., etc. And it turned out it's not true. Now, when you look at the response says it doesn't take into account no-shows and tickets sold, etc. Now, this is what some people are holding on to. They're saying, well, there were people who bought tickets and didn't show. I fail to, you're not going to get me to believe 10,000 people bought tickets for a show and then decided they weren't going to go anymore. You're not going to get me to believe that. The second thing is, well, the scalpers took a bath on it. Okay, so a bunch of scalpers bought tickets and then they couldn't sell them. Well, that's reasonable. It's a reasonable response, but scalpers bought 10,000 tickets and they couldn't give them away. Look, I know how capitalism works. You pay $150 for some tickets or something like that. Maybe you upmark them for 180. I'm saying dollars, but it's pounds or whatever it is y'all do in England. You probably upsell them for 190 pounds or whatever, 200 pounds. And then as it gets closer to the event, the scalper gets a little more antsy. The tickets haven't moved. And so maybe the day of the show, that damn scalper we trying to give those tickets away, you probably could have got them for 50 pounds. He would have took a bath on it, absolutely. He probably would have lost money, Give them to you for 100 pounds, which is less than what he paid for them. Anything to make some money back. I highly doubt that scalpers held on to 10,000 tickets. I sincerely doubt that. Sincerely doubt it. So what does this mean? Does this mean that these were tickets bought by Tony Khan? Let's not be ridiculous. I don't think Tony Khan bought 10,000 tickets. I don't believe that. I just believe the number is probably closer to 72,000. And if you take into account maybe an inflated attendance a little bit, what Tony Khan claimed, there was over 90,000 people there if you take into account all of the helpers and all of this sort of thing, ushers and janitors and all this kind of stuff, cameramen, etc. It was closer to 90,000 people in the building. I don't know. I actually think that if you could probably inflate it to 81,000 by doing the WWE method, which is counting every breathing heart in the building. Somebody sneaked their dog in, that person counts. The dog counts as a person. I think it's just closer to there. I think it's simple. They just lied. Tony Khan just lied. That's it. I don't think it's some grand conspiracy. He just lied. He wanted to make his event sound bigger than it really was. But in pretty much every shot outside of hard cam, you can see empty seats. There was people in the building saying there was not 82,000 people in that building. There were sections that were closed off. During the Anarchy in the Arena, there's a great shot of Eddie Kingston. It was a wonderful shot. And you see all just whole rows of empty chairs. You can't tell me those tickets were sold and then people just decided they weren't going to show up. Oh, I'm just not going to go all of a sudden. Or the scalpers couldn't give tickets away anymore. But it was still such a hot ticket in that country. Not buying it. Tony Khan just flat out lied. Which would not be that big of a deal if it wouldn't got to the point that these guys are tattooing it on their skin. If you're Will Ospreay and somebody has tattooed that on your skin, what do you do? I've seen people say that what is Tony Khan going to do about this? Why hasn't the Wrestling Observer newsletter or anybody talked about this? Look, I'm not even concerned about that. All right, I'm not concerned about what Meltzer is going to think or anybody else. Because the 72,000 is fucking fabulous. It's a fucking great number. Especially when you consider the worst news. 72,000 people. Fucking awesome. For AEW, that's tremendous. That is worth celebrating. And then you take into account next week, which is a Grand Slam event, which if you look at the card is a bigger deal than All In and All Out in terms of builds for the pay-per-view, matches that people actually want to see. They actually put both feet firmly in the ground to push this show, which was in a sense, their biggest show a couple of years ago. But now, unfortunately, they're doing buy one, get one sales for AEW Dynamite Grand Slam. The last year's count was 13,321. As of today, 6,284. So they can't even sell tickets to Grand Slam. That's even worse. Why is it worse? It's worse because this is a big show. This is a show that they look forward to all year. This is a show that they have built up over the last 2 years as being a really meaningful night of AEW programming. Usually it's a 2-night event with a Grand Slam Dynamite and a Grand Slam Rampage. Don't know if they're going to extend it to Collision. I haven't even heard about Grand Slam Rampage yet. But the fact that they have not even sold, they sold just about half the amount of tickets this year they did last year. And now they have to do a 2-for-1 in order to get that money back, in order to get that thing back up. Well, it's not even a 2-for-1. It's a 1-for-1. You have to buy one and get one. It's a BOGO sale. I'm not one to brag about AEW not doing well. Especially considering, regardless of where you sit in this situation, AEW is doing fine. The problem here is that while it's good, it ain't good enough. And it certainly ain't what you told me it was. You are not him, as they say. You thought you were him. You had all the trappings of him. You looked like him a little bit. Everybody thought you was him from the other side of the room in the dark and everything. But when they got up a little closer, you're not him. All right? You're just not. 72,000 is still amazing, however. If this number turns out to be bunk because this site is bunk or whatever, then okay. It still won't sell tickets in the United States. You still have to look at why tickets aren't selling in the United States, but it is what it is. As far as we know, that whole 81,000, 82,000 thing is complete and total bullshit. And that's as far as we know today, right now. If somebody comes along and manages to debunk this topic, we'll be talking about it again. But as far as we know right now, Shamsul Islam has just nuked Tony Khan from orbit and said, whoa, big buddy. You said 81. It was more like 72. It's not too bad. But doing the BOGO sale on Grand Slam kind of sucks. Feel bad for everybody involved. You look at this show, this Dynamite, 2/3 of the building was empty. People were posting pictures. Half the building was fucking empty. And that was just the side that they didn't sell. We don't even know about the side of this they did sell, and they were still empty seats. I mean, it's getting real sad here in AEW in terms of their attendance, and I don't know how they can fix it or what they could do about it outside of better creative. You know, it's not going to get any better from here. You know, from the looks of things, it's not looking like it's going to improve too much. They got to hope that the Wrestle Dream show picks up in terms of attendance because it's basically another Forbidden Door. So maybe it'll be successful based off that people are going to start looking at it and saying to themselves, okay, there's going to be a lot of New Japan guys there. And I'm guessing that's going to be the selling point. It's going to be like another AEW New Japan co-promoted event. If it's not, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying to myself, if you're Tony Khan, you're walking into half-empty buildings all the time. I shouldn't even say half-empty. Again, 60% empty buildings. You got to be asking, how the fuck are you going to make a profit on that? I will say this, though. You're not going to catch me arguing with people about it online. There have been so many people that have been arguing about this number, this AEW All-In number. Raj Giri and one of the guys from bodyslam.net was like, chin deep in an argument when I started doing this video about why the wrestling media, outside of WrestleNomics is essentially the only site that has published this so far. And WrestleNomics was the only site that I saw that mentioned the BOGO sale for the Grand Slam tickets. It seems Brandon Thurston is actually trying to be fair. Who would have thought? Didn't see that coming. But I'm very interested in seeing how Meltzer and so many of the other people who helped to sell the lie that they broke the all-time ticket sold record, how they plan to spin this or how they plan to answer this. Because you can't just let it sit out there and then say nothing. Tony Khan, is he going to say nothing? I'm very interested in what he's going to say about this. I'm very interested in what his response is going to be. If we don't get a response, then that ought to be interesting. If he puts out, some information of his own, that ought to be interesting too. It's interesting either way. But I can tell you this, All In was not a fail. 72,000 people, that's not a failure. All right? It's not the number you told me it was. It's a fucking lie what you told me. But 72,000 is perfectly respectable. For a company that can't fucking sell tickets in the United States, 72,000 is fucking good. It's great even. Just tell the fucking truth. 72,000, people still would have rocked with that. Still would have thought that was great. But it wouldn't have broke the record. And that's really what Tony Khan and all of these guys wanted to talk about. He wanted to talk about breaking the indoor record for WrestleMania 32 or what was the other one? The Wembley SummerSlam from 92. They wanted to break that stuff. Look, it ain't that important. As we can see, people thought you broke the record. They still wasn't coming to these fucking shows. All right? The CM Punk stuff, the backstage stuff is still going on. You got bigger issues than how many people showed up to your wrestling show. If the building was near full, it looked good on television, it wasn't embarrassing, All In was a win from top to bottom. They just shouldn't have lied about the fucking number. Just don't fucking lie. WWE lies, but they also say, oh, we put out this stuff for entertainment purposes. Nobody gives a fuck really how many people are in the building. And they're wrong. They're not wrong. Nobody really gives a shit how many people are in the building. But if you and all your media friends are going to give Vince hell for counting every breathing person, they counting the roaches and the rats and shit in the building, then you should want to be the honest wrestling company. We're going to be the ones that are going to tell the truth. We're going to do an audit and all this kind of stuff, which is what I think Tony Khan said he was going to do an audit, right? Or he said he wasn't going to do one. I'm not sure which one it was going to be. But in any event, he lied. As far as we know right now, this Shamsul Islam, who works for the Brent Borough Council, has no fucking reason to lie and downplay AEW All In success. So unless Tony Khan is going to break out some numbers of his own, this is what it is. But we also going to leave the door open for Tony Khan to have some kind of independent count done. And we'll see when that actually happens. Now let's talk about something that's actually kind of fun. It's pretty stupid, but it's fun. Paul White was named in the biogenesis probe from 2013, saying that he took performance-enhancing drugs. This is from Fightful. ESPN obtained 1,400 pages of unredacted federal investigative documents naming other athletes linked to biogenesis, including AEW's Paul White. In a 2014 interview, Bosch said that he treated White in 2009 to 2010. Bosch said that his partner, George Velasquez, was giving White performance-enhancing drugs behind Bosch's back, and that White advised him that wrestlers wanted stronger substances such as Winstrol and Decadurabolin, which didn't mess with Bosch's doping protocols. Through his attorney, Edward Brennan, White said that Bosch was at his home for a, quote, Thanksgiving open house that included other wrestlers, but that White only met with Bosch one other time. Brennan said White had never failed a drug test and stressed that any involvement with performance-enhancing drugs would pose a serious risk because of his having suffered from an endocrine system. It says, quote, this is from Paul White's attorney. Paul never treated with Bosch. Paul never took any PEDs from Jorge or anyone else. He is as clean as you can be. More importantly, he would never take any PEDs because of his underlying medical condition. What I believe it is, when you are doing a deal with the government, you need to be bringing stuff to the table to make yourself bigger so you can have more value. Bosch is trying to make himself bigger than he is. Like always, he is a nobody. So the underlying condition would be that Paul White has giantism. And some performance-enhancing drugs, some steroids, human growth hormone, etc. It causes enlarged organs. So that means his organs are already enlarged because of his large body. So why would he take performance-enhancing drugs and enlarge his heart or enlarge his lungs or something like that, which could cause a heart attack or some other type of problem? Why would he do that? So here's the thing. I absolutely 100% believe Big Show. I believe Big Show is never on a performance-enhancing drug. For starters, Big Show has been top 5 shittiest wrestlers since his debut. Whatever he took, it's got to be like just pouring them down an empty well, a bottomless pit. I can't think of anything that he could take, pop, snort, smoke that would make him any fucking good. Big Show fucking sucks. And there is no pill that will fix that. There is no mountain of pills that could take that. You can't fix Big Show. You can't fix him. Oh, you think a performance enhancement? Then how did it not enhance his performance? If anything, that's bad marketing. He should sue them for selling him shit that didn't work. His performance did not increase. It's not like Big Show got good in 2009. No, he sucked. He was just as bad in 09 as he was in 99, and he was just as bad in 99 as he was in 95, or was it 6 or whatever. He sucks. A big lumbering hunk of garbage. So it was pretty humorous to hear that Big Show might have been on Pete's. It was fucking hilarious. I wasn't going to miss an opportunity to talk about Big Show doing performance-enhancing drugs. I wasn't going to miss that. Not going to miss that opportunity. Not at all, sir. So let's get into this show, however. Jon Moxley defeated Big Bill. Oh, I didn't want to watch this. Oh, God, I didn't want to watch this. Why did they try to make me watch this? I didn't want to see this. Humorously, Bill Simmons thought Test was still alive, only to find out that he'd been reincarnated as Big Bill. And no, he's no Test. I can tell you that much. Moxley was bleeding. Don't know why. Moxley he does what he does. This match, of course, ends with Moxley putting a submission hold and an arm bar on Big Bill. It was such a goofy finish. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Starks attacks Bryan Danielson, beats him up. He also attacks Jon Moxley, beats Jon Moxley with his shoe, which is hilarious. It's awesome. You know, him hitting Jon Moxley in the head with his shoe was great. Claudio ended up making the save. And then the Blackpool Combat Club chased off Ricky Starks and Big Bill. This was fine. Bryan Danielson then later on laid out the challenge for him and Claudio versus Ricky Starks and Big Bill. I think it was for Collision. I think that's when the challenge was for. I have no interest in that. I have no interest in watching Big Bill wrestle again, if we're just being honest. Why it wouldn't be him and Moxley is kind of confusing. I'm guessing Moxley's going to wrestle on that show. I think that's what they said. Is Moxley's wrestling Phoenix. I wonder who's going to win that match. Anyway, after they got into it, because Death Triangle came in there and started arguing with him and everything, Eddie Kingston stared down Claudio and said he only got 1 week left as Ring of Honor World Champion. And now that match is now officially title for title. So they made that match a lot more interesting. I thought it was just champion versus champion, which I was going to say is quite dumb, but it's actually title for title. So All right. Eddie Kingston versus Claudio, title for title. All right. Interesting. Very, very interesting. In terms of Ricky Starks and Big Bill as a tag team, no thank you. No mas. Danielson has been talking a lot about his retirement. One of the new things he said is that he's been getting injured after all of his big matches. And he wants his body to still be fit enough to spend time with his children when he is post-retirement. And he's also said that he doesn't ever see himself getting to the point of never wrestling again and being completely done. So that tells me not that he's going to wrestle forever, but that he may have certain ideas that he's going to be around for a long time. For instance, that he's going to do creative, which I think that's what he's been doing now. And he's going to be around the business forever, but maybe not in the business full time. But I'm glad he said it. I'm glad he noticed that he's having injuries and all of these big matches. He's had like 2 concussions, broke his arm. You know, it's been a nasty run in AEW. You know, and I don't want him to break down and, you know, not be able to do his thing. Okay, let's move on from the Blackpool Combat Club because I'm getting frustrated with those guys. I can't tell if they're baby faces or heels. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on, man. So it's just best to move on. You know, they're baby faces sometimes, they heels sometimes. Claudio is clearly the heel and dealing with Eddie Kingston, but then they're clearly baby faces and dealing with Ricky Starks. And then Moxley pretty much tries to put everybody in the hospital. I don't understand what's going on with him. So let's just move on. Roderick Strong, he's about to talk when Adam Cole shows up. Adam Cole is now worried about Roderick Strong's neck health. He says that, Roddy, Joe is going to hurt you. He might break your neck. So Roderick Strong says that the Kingdom believes in him. He believes in himself. He's going to break Joe's back and win this tournament. Then he's going to become world champion. MJF, he had promo time. Apparently this was from last week where he cut a promo on both Roderick Strong and Samoa Joe, saying that these were the only 2 guys he thought were going to get anywhere near the main event and wrestling him for the title. And the 2 guys he hopes win. So he cut a promo on both of them. This was after we found out that MJF's neck health is not very good, and he had to take the week off. He was thrilled about having to take the week off, but he sat down and he cut a promo where he called Roderick Strong a simp. Said that Roderick Strong was faking a neck injury, that he's manipulative and he's weak and he's jealous and he's going to rip his head off. Then, of course, he once again told him to shake it off. Then he cut the Steiner Math promo on Samoa Joe after promising he was going to choke Joe out. Everybody popped for the Steiner Math promo, but I didn't. I was kind of like, this thing gets quoted way too much for me. I know everybody loves the Samoa Joe Steiner Math promo. It's one of the greatest promos of all time. The problem is it just comes up too much, you know? I feel like we get like a really good joke about it pretty much once a month. So once MJF started with the Steiner Math promo, I was kind of like, okay. It was neat. I think he did a good job of placing it into the mat and into his regular promo. But I don't feel like we really... It came across as very jokey at a time where we should probably be serious, you know? Main event of the evening, Samoa Joe versus Roderick Strong. Exactly what you thought it would be. Very physical match. Really good chops on each other. I mean, these guys really laid it in. Roderick Strong worked very hard. Samoa Joe is becoming a workhorse, despite the fact that, you know, WWE thought that Joe was pretty much washed. But he's still doing really good work here in AEW. I say again, make Joe the world champion. Anyway, Roderick Strong submits because he's got a bad neck. Logical finish. He gives up Nick Coquina clutch. Very logical finish. After the match, Samoa Joe called out MJF. Said he's going into MJF's backyard. He's going to walk him down, beat him up, and take everything he's got. Everything. So then Joe walks off. As Joe leaves, Adam Cole comes out, and Roderick Strong sees Adam Cole approaching. So he grabbed his neck and took a bump. It was big pop. That popped the hell out of me. Adam! Adam! As he's laying down, holding his neck. The Kingdom are freaking out. They're yelling at Adam Cole. Adam Cole is yelling at them. And all you hear is, Adam! I can't see you, Adam! And they go and get stretcher for him. They have to put Roderick Strong on a stretcher. Everybody knows that he's flopping, right? He's D-Watch flopping. This was amazing. Big pop. Huge pop. So they walk Roderick Strong out. He's on a stretcher. He wants to see Adam. You know, the Kingdom of getting Adam Cole the fits. And as they cart him away, Samoa Joe sneaks up behind Adam Cole and chokes him out too. I was like, this was great. This was great. This whole thing here, amazing. You know, this is what character work is all about here. Everything that was done here was very well done in character. MJF has Roderick Strong pegged. Absolutely. He is being very manipulative. It's like a girl who that's the only thing about this I really don't like, is that how, you know, feminine a lot of this stuff is. Like these guys who are, you know, he's doing all this neck stuff to get attention. You know, it's all about, I'm hurt. Look at me. Look at me. You know, kids do this too. But, you know, girls are really big on this. Oh, I hurt my foot. Look at my foot. Oh, my ankles hurt so bad. You know, so you got this guy now trying to exploit this neck injury to get sympathy out of Adam Cole, but he's completely disingenuous, completely being manipulative. It works. It's phenomenal. Adam Cole, who's, you know, stuck in the middle, legit trying to feel bad for his friend. He doesn't know how bad or, you know, that Roderick Strong is hurt, so he's just sympathetic. You know, that's his friend. So that was good character stuff. The Kingdom are being annoying. They're there to lay on extra layers of guilt onto Adam Cole, so that works. And then, of course, Joe is the boogeyman. You know, you're not safe around him. So that works too. All of this was excellent. The ending of this show was very, very strong. And I can't say more good things about it. It was very good. Okay, going back to the beginning of the show, Don Callis is with Tony Schiavone. To shorten this up, however, Don Callis claims that Tanosuke Takeshita is better than all the Japanese legends, which he named many. Then said that when you beat Kenny Omega, they call you the Ace. When you beat him twice in 1 week, they call you the Alpha. So now he wants everybody to refer to Konosuke Takeshita as the Alpha, and that he's the real Alpha, not like Chris Jericho. Said that they broke Kenny Omega's body. Now they're going to break his heart and unveil that their next target is Kota Ibushi, the living, breathing heart of Kenny Omega. Then they said they're going to butcher and skin Kota Ibushi. And Kenny Omega is going to be at home watching like the cuck he is. Very effective promo. Very effective promo. I like this. This is good. It was obvious that Ibushi was going to be next, especially when they said he was going to go after his heart, because everybody knows that there's some kind of the ambiguously gay duo of Ibushi and Kenny Omega. And so this is fun. So I guess they're going to start finally doing something with Ibushi on television, because there's no pay-per-views for him to work at, unless they do it more Wrestle Dream, which they probably will. But this is an actual match between two Japanese wrestlers that I actually want to see. You know, this might be fun. You know, I think Ibushi probably needs some kind of warm-up match, because I don't think he looked that great in all of his outings in AEW so far. So I would give him a warm-up match or two on television first before he wrestles Takeshita, and I would put that match on pay-per-view in terms of have it be a Wrestle Dream match. You can give it more time. You don't have to break it up with commercials. And I think that audience would be far more into it than a regular Dynamite audience or whatever. So, but I like this idea, and Don Callis is great, and the art piece is also phenomenal. And I finally saw the lady who does these pictures. I forget what her name is. I would use her name, but I don't remember what it is. But she's not a bad looking chick who paints all the Don Callis pictures. They actually look pretty good. You know, she's a lot better looking than Rob Schamberger, who looks like a Ninja Turtle, an aged one. Like, you know, Donatello in 50 years or something. Oh, okay. So from that, we go to Hook and Orange Cassidy. This was about nothing. Orange Cassidy is still complaining about being tired. And asked why Hook was all frowny and angry because his body's not covered in tape. He still has a championship. Then Hook says, "Oh, well, you are a great champion." And Orange Cassidy says, "Ah, thanks, man. You are too. You're a great champion too, brother." And then that was it. And I was like, this is a waste of everybody's time. You could have saved just 30 seconds on something else. All right, number one contenders match for the women's championship. Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm, Nyla Rose, and Britt Baker. Fatal 4-way. Toni Storm wins the match, and she actually pins Britt Baker. Interesting. Toni Storm also came out to the Outcast thing, which makes no sense, considering she's not in the group. Considering they're feuding. All right. Immediately after this, Saraya says that she was proud of Toni, but Toni has lost everything. She's lost her title, she's lost her friends, and she's lost her mind. And next week, she's also going to lose the match. And it seems, at least to me, that Saraya is now the heel, and Toni Storm is the babyface, which is fine. But shouldn't Toni Storm have her own theme at that point then? Another goofy Fatal 4-way is stupid. I don't understand what's going on here. Now, this is unrelated, but it is kind of related. Jade Cargill will be making her return on Rampage to wrestle Chris Statlander for the TBS Championship. Now, I understand that Tony Khan wants people to watch Rampage, but that's complete disrespect of Jade Cargill, if you ask me. For her to not have a match on Dynamite or Collision, which are, look, everybody knows it by now. There's no point in trying to hide it. Rampage is Velocity. It's WWF Metal. It's, it's whatever B show, WCW Saturday Night, or it's worse than that. It's WCW All Pro. All right. It's a C show. It's not even a B show. And I get that. Well, Rampage is on TBS. It is, right? It's on TBS, isn't it? Or is it on TNT? I don't know. Don't get me the line. I get if it's on TBS, then I get why you might want it on TBS. But you really should put it on Collision. Put Jade Cargill where more people can see her. Why are we hiding her on Rampage now? But you want everybody to want to watch Rampage. No, nobody watching Rampage, bro. Nobody watching Rampage, bro. Jade Cargill isn't a big enough star to entice me to watch Rampage. Samoa Joe versus Jeff Hardy couldn't get me to watch Rampage, so no. Sorry, sad to tell you. Oh, anyway, this was a very short Fatal 4-way, by the way. I think it was like maybe 5 minutes. Very short Fatal 4-way. All right, moving on. Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. So this was a long segment. So they're going to have a match next week. Let sex gods explode. But they want to do so on good terms. So they sat here and they had a video package of showing all the time they've been together. And 4 years since they've been together, and then Jericho did what Jericho always does, which makes this about him. How he is the one who saw Sammy Guevara, and he plucked Sammy Guevara from obscurity and went to Tony Khan and said, hire him. And now he's watched Sammy Guevara grow up and blossom into this excellent performer. He's very proud of Sammy Guevara. It's all about how he saved Sammy Guevara. Sammy says that Jericho has inspired him. He thanked Chris Jericho for saving his life, for changing his career. Said there would be no AEW without Chris Jericho. But he didn't come here to be Chris Jericho's sidekick. He wanted to be seen the same as Moxley, as Danielson, and as many of the other top guys. And that's not going to happen as long as he's in Chris Jericho's shadow. Chris Jericho says that he told Sammy Guevara months ago that he needed to do it on his own. That he's going to have to be, but now is the time. He's got to win this match, but he's going to have to be better than he's ever been to beat Chris Jericho, and he's not sure that he's ready yet. Sammy Guevara got offended, saying, "You don't respect me as much as I respect you, and I'm going to beat you, Chris, and then we'll shake hands and go win some tag team titles." Jericho then responds by saying he's not going to be easy. He's going to hit Sammy Guevara harder than he's ever hit anybody, and he expects the same in return. And Sammy Guevara promised him that it will be the exact same for him. And it was a good promo segment, I think, with the ebbs and flows. And I like that we all recognize that Sammy Guevara has this anchor tied around his ankle called Chris Jericho. And until he breaks free of that, he'll never actually be seen as, the next guy or a guy that really matters on this roster. And I like that Jericho recognizes it, and it's not a source of soreness for him. He's not embittered by it. He wants Sammy Guevara to go on and do bigger and better things because it makes him look like more of a genius. So Sammy Guevara goes on to start drawing money and winning championships. The one thing that I didn't like, because it didn't make sense, is how Sammy Guevara said he's going to beat Chris Jericho, get out of Chris Jericho's shadow, and then tag team with Chris Jericho to win the tag team championships. To me, that doesn't make sense. I thought the point of this was for you to beat Chris Jericho, and then you would go off on your own and win championships. I thought that was the goal. Apparently not. Apparently the goal is they still want to be the tag team champions, but they want to work out their tension first. Okie dokie, fine. I'm guessing somebody's going to cheat in this match. Maybe Jericho's going to cheat, and somebody's going to turn heel here, I would imagine. There's, of course, a little blooper here with Jericho thinking that Sammy Guevara was going to give birth to a baby, which I'm pretty sure some of their fan base was like, "Oh my God, Sammy's pregnant." Because men can get pregnant, Anyway, it was a good promo segment. I thought it was perfectly fine. Just a little wonky with the tag team championship thing. Could have left that part out, but it's based in respect. They like each other. Perfect groundwork for one of them to betray the other one and take this thing to the next level and really break them up for good. But overall, I liked it. And, but before I move on, I like Sammy Guevara's motivation here too. Sammy saying that he wants to be seen like Moxley, like Danielson, a workhorse for the company, somebody they can trust, somebody they're willing to really get behind and really push. He wants to be one of those guys. I like that. It took me a second to think about it, but that's a really good, for a young talent, that's a really good motivator. That, yes, Sammy Guevara was dubbed one of the four pillars. Yes, he probably was pushed a little hard when he was the TNT champion. He didn't really get over the way they wanted him to, but he still wants to be one of those guys. And it's unfortunate that the thing that most of those guys that he talked about had in common is that they went to WWE first. That was the unfortunate thing, that these guys have a decade of experience and that they were in WWE for a long time. It's just the unfortunate reality of why it hasn't happened for him yet. But when you look at what they're doing with, guys like Swerve, which we'll talk about just in a few minutes, you look at it and say, well, if Sammy could talk better, and he's actually getting better at promos, then he would be on that level. So it's something to consider, but I really like the motivation. Now, speaking of Swerve, we have to talk about this absolutely abysmal Brian Cage, Hangman Page match. I don't give a fuck what you say. Brian Cage fucking sucks. His matches are so goddamn boring. He is such a boring wrestler. He's a huge mountain of muscle. Absolutely has all the things that I will be requiring for a traditional looking pro wrestler, with the exception of that goddamn mohawk and his now absolutely Bush League face paint. I mean, if you're going to paint your face, bro, look at everybody who's painting their face. You know, you want to be like the Barbarian and the Warlord and all these guys. You got to go hard. You got to go a little bit harder than what his shit looked like it was done with a marker on his face. Get you some real fucking paint and paint your face. You know, stop looking like you did this shit with crayon. This is dumb, and it's smeared all over his face. It looks stupid. Come on, man. Go get some real paint. Paint your face for real. You know? Still, his inability to move people around. He almost dropped Hangman Page on a powerbomb. Like, Page is so much smaller than he is. He still barely lifted him up. Fuck. I'll be here all day talking about Brian Cage. Man, that dude fucking sucks. Hangman Page did a 619 and then got his legs all stuck in the ropes. I will say this. He did make fun of himself where he talked about how close he was to botching it. So that was actually pretty funny. And Hangman Page wins with the dead eye because Brian Cage fucking sucks. You know, he's just literally a garbage wrestler. So Hangman Page gets on the microphone. He's not a good promo. He says that Swerve came out there and pressed Nana. He did all his dancing and everything, it was humorous. I like how everybody is starting to really gravitate towards the Prince Nana dance. I like that, you know. I'm glad it's not just popping just me, you know. I'm definitely popped on that joint. So Hangman Page is talking to Swerve, says that you said last week that you wanted my spot. I thought that meant you would fight me and take it. But instead, it seemed like you had your balls tucked and pressed Nana in his Burger King crown. You got a slight Burger King chant. Swerve says that the situation between the two of them will not be ending tonight. He says, we do this when I say and where I say, and I say Seattle, August the 1st, Wrestle Dream. So, Wrestle Dream, which doesn't sound like a real event. God damn, I can't take it's not Great Balls of Fire level of a stupid name, but it's not far off Wrestle Dream. It's a stupid show. So, Swerve says, but you're not going to get to coast until October. You know, the Mogul Embassy is going to warm you up. They're going to work you over until then. So Brian Cage attacks Hangman Page from behind. Prince Nana, he's there too. Then the Young Bucks come in there and they fight everybody off. So this is leading to a Mogul Embassy versus Elite feud. So I'm definitely going to have to stand here. Well, not stand because I will not be standing. Probably will not even be sitting. I'll probably be slouching in my seat watching Toa Leona, Khan, and Brian Cage, who look like the fucking three absolute cannibals, get beat up by guys with no muscle definition and the skinniest legs outside of a fourth grade anywhere in the country. That's going to be embarrassing, but it's AEW for you. What can you do? What can you do? Nothing. But look, Swerve, okay. Swerve has gotten the gas put on him. Good. He deserves it. He's really doing some really good stuff here. His promo skills are actually improving too. So that's good. Hangman talking is not his strong suit. All right, let's move on. I'm almost done. I promise. Renee Paquette is talking to Daniel Garcia. They're talking about Jericho and Guevara. He's got a problem with that. He says, why don't we talk about how I went viral twice this week? Once when the Arizona Cardinals were doing his dance, which I didn't see. I didn't know about this. So sorry, I would have commentary on that, but I didn't see it. In any event, Don Callis wants to recruit Daniel Garcia, but Daniel Garcia just gyrated in his general direction. And Don Callis was like, that's money. That's money. I want some of that money. Let's go make some money. Like, what? Money. I'm like, what? Why? Wow. What is going on here? Daniel Garcia, man, he's a dancing gimmick now. That's all he is. But, you know, it's not too bad. I mean, it's a decent job if you can get it, I guess. Next, Darby Allin and Nick Wayne defeat 2.0. I don't know their names. I swear to God, I don't know their names. I'm pretty sure people have told me before, what the names of these guys are in 2.0. I just know one of them talks like he's Brian Knobs from the Nasty Boys, and that's really it, because that one's funny. You know, the fat one with the cheeks, he's funny. The other one, he's just there. He's just present. So, of course, this thing took entirely too long. This match was far too long. I don't know how long it was, but it was too long for my liking. I was very upset. I was seething by the time this match was actually over. Especially when they were doing synchronized spots and jumping off the top rope together. I'm like, oh, please end this fucking thing. So Christian Cage was on promo, was on commentary. Then he cut a promo afterwards. He said that he was scrolling through Nick Wayne's mama's Instagram, and he had a said it was not enough bikini pics for him, but he put in a request for more. Then he says that he said he didn't lose at All In, but he also didn't have his regular partner. So he challenged Darby Allin and Sting to a match with himself and Luchasaurus. When he said he didn't have his regular partner, I immediately was like, Edge? You know, I got Edge and AEW on the brain now. Since everybody's talking about it so much, I kind of want it to happen. So I'm kind of saying to myself, like, he said he's not having his regular partner. I was like, Edge? Edge is going to be there? Are you saying Sexton Hardcastle's going to be there? Are you saying that Adam Copeland is going to be there? Oh, brother. We'll see. Everybody's trying to talk about this thing, but I don't think it's going to happen for them. I think it's very unfortunate for them that it's amazing to me that this is the conversation that people are really just excited, I guess, that 50-year-old Edge would pop up in AEW. Like, to do what? You know? Wasn't these guys talking about how old he was like a year or two ago? Oh, he's so old. I remember all the UK wrestling bastards was talking about how Edge is old and washed up. Meltzer was calling him old and washed up. Now it's like, he might come to AEW. Oh, that would be great. How awesome would that be? Like, what? He's older now than he was when you were talking shit about him. Anyway. But I don't care about Luchasaurus. I will talk about anything other than Luchasaurus. You know, we can sit here and talk about the alphabet rather than talk about Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus is garbage. He shits. I just don't like that guy, man. You know, I'm not a fan. But I will say this. Darby Allin does a good job of making Luchasaurus so like a absolute beast. He does a good job of that. So next week he's going to have the opportunity to do it again. But I'm guessing is that Luchasaurus is probably going to take the pin in order to get Darby Allin that win back, leading to another match between them. But we'll see. All right. That's it. That's AEW Dynamite. The Grand Slam show for next week actually looks very solid. Jericho and Guevara, Eddie Kingston and Claudio, MJF and Samoa Joe. All of that stuff is really good. Saraya and Tony Storm actually has some story behind it, and not just 2 weeks of story, but like a month of story. So that's good. Most of this stuff has some really solid storytelling to it. It makes me almost say that he should probably separate some of this stuff instead of trying to jam it all onto one show. That's why I brought up earlier that he should probably have a Grand Slam Collision show, because it seems to me that you might be able to take some of the matches off of Dynamite and put them on Collision, and it's still a 2-hour show. You'll still have time for them, but you won't be trying to jam everything onto one show, because you can make this one show a must-watch show, and then people will completely and totally, wave their hand on Rampage and Collision, or you could try to spread that out and make it, something that people want to watch in terms of. But I have to say, this Dynamite is, again, better built than their last 2 pay-per-view events. They genuinely give a fuck about this show, about this All the Rad show. They genuinely care. So hopefully the building is full and they sell some tickets. That's what I hope. That's my hope. It looks good because Arthur Ashe is actually a good looking building. The first couple of times they've done it, it looked very crisp. It looked very clean. So it's all the things are put together for it to be a success. So hopefully it is that. All right. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later.